The darkness of space lit up with flashes of red and orange as the orbital platforms around New Haven exploded one by one. Captain Jack Reynolds stood frozen on the bridge of the Defiance, watching the destruction unfold on the main screen. His knuckles turned white as he gripped the edge of the command console. "Sir, we're counting 12 enemy ships," said Officer Pete, his voice shaking slightly. "They came out of nowhere. No warning." Jack nodded, his face grim. New Haven was supposed to be safe, a peaceful colony on the edge of human space. 3 million people lived on the planet below, most of them families of miners and farmers who wanted a fresh start away from the crowded Earth. "Any response from the defense stations?" Jack asked, though he already knew the answer. "None, sir. They were taken out in the first wave," replied Lucy, the communications officer. Her fingers moved quickly across her console. "I'm trying to reach Colonial Command, but there's too much interference. The Defiance wasn't supposed to be fighting anyone today. It was an experimental ship on its first shakedown cruise, carrying new technology that hadn't yet been approved for the main fleet. Jack and his crew of 40 had been ordered to put the ship through its paces near the outer colonies. Nothing more." "What about other military vessels in the area?" Jack asked. Tom, the tactical officer, shook his head. "Nothing, Captain. We're it." A new alert sounded, and all eyes turned to the main screen. One of the alien ships, larger than the others, was broadcasting a message. Lucy tapped her console, and a figure appeared on screen. The alien was tall and thin with gray skin that seemed to shimmer like metal. Its eyes were large black orbs without pupils, and when it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, the words seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Attention, human vessel," the alien said in perfect English. "I am Commander Vex of the Collective. Your species has been judged and found wanting. Your expansion stops here. We hereby declare formal war against humanity. Surrender your vessel or be destroyed." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. He had heard rumors about the Vex, a highly advanced race that kept to themselves in a distant sector. There had been no previous contact, no diplomatic missions. Why attack now? "Open a channel," Jack ordered. Lucy nodded, and Jack straightened his uniform before speaking. "This is Captain Jack Reynolds of the Earth ship Defiance. You have attacked a peaceful colony without provocation. Stand down your weapons and withdraw immediately." The alien made a sound that might have been laughter. "Your primitive species has no authority to make demands. Your technology is inferior. Your numbers are few. This colony is merely the first to fall." On the screen behind the alien commander, Jack could see New Haven's main city. Fires had already started in several districts as Vex ships launched attacks from orbit. "Sir," Tom whispered, "their weapons are beyond anything we've seen. Energy signatures are off the charts." Jack looked around at his crew. They were scared. He could see it in their eyes. But they were also waiting for his orders. The Defiance might be experimental, but it was still a ship of the fleet. "What are our options?" Jack asked. "We could try to run," Tom suggested. "The Defiance has the new jump drive. We could reach Earth in 4 days and warn them." Anna, the ship's engineer, spoke up from her station. "Or we could fight. The pulse cannons aren't fully tested, but they're designed to penetrate advanced shielding." "Against 12 ships?" Pete asked, his voice rising. "It would be suicide." Jack turned back to the screen. The alien was waiting, its black eyes revealing nothing. "You have 30 seconds to surrender," the Vex commander said. "After that, we will destroy your vessel and continue our cleansing of this colony." Jack closed his eyes for a moment. If they ran, millions would die before help could arrive. If they fought, they would almost certainly be destroyed. But they might buy some time for the people below. There was also a third option, though it was risky. "Lucy, cut the transmission," Jack ordered. Once the alien disappeared from the screen, he turned to his crew. "Here's what we're going to do. Tom, plot a course that looks like we're running toward the outer system. Anna, Power up the pulse cannons but keep them offline until my mark. Lucy, prepare to send a distress call to Earth on all channels. You have a plan, sir? Anna asked. Jack nodded. The Defiance has one advantage. They don't know what we're capable of. This ship was designed to test new stealth technology and weapon systems. If we can take out even one of their ships, we might be able to buy time for some of the colonists to evacuate. And then what? Pete asked. Then we run, Jack said grimly. We jump to Earth and bring back the fleet. It's not much of a plan, but it's all we've got. The crew moved with renewed purpose, preparing the ship for battle. Jack returned to the command console and opened a channel to the colony below. This is Captain Reynolds to New Haven Colonial Authority. Begin emergency evacuations immediately. Get as many people to the shelters as you can. The response was broken and filled with static. Captain, under attack. Defenses failing. Please help. Jack clenched his jaw. We'll do what we can. Reynolds out. He turned to Tom. Take us in. Full speed, heading directly toward their command ship. Let's see if we can surprise them. The Defiance surged forward, its engines glowing bright blue against the darkness of space. The Vex ships, spread out in formation around the colony, began to turn, tracking the human vessel's movement. They're targeting us, Tom reported. Multiple weapons signatures locked on. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Anna, how long until the pulse cannons are ready? 30 seconds, Captain. Jack gripped his chair as the ship rocked under him. The first Vex shots had missed, but they wouldn't miss for long. 20 seconds, Anna called out. On the screen, Jack could see the massive Vex command ship growing larger. It was at least 5 times the size of the Defiance, with weapons bristling along its hull. 10 seconds. Another blast rocked the ship, harder this time. Warning lights flashed across the bridge. Shield damage at 20%, Pete reported. One more direct hit like that, and we're in trouble. 5 seconds, Anna said. The Vex command ship filled the screen now. Jack could see energy building at the tips of its main weapons. Fire, Jack shouted. The Defiance shuddered as blue-white energy erupted from its forward section. The pulse cannon's beam struck the Vex ship dead center, cutting through its shields like they weren't there. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, with a silent flash visible even from the bridge, a section of the Vex ship's hull exploded outward. Direct hit, Tom shouted. Their forward shields are down. Again, Jack ordered. The pulse cannon fired a second time, tearing deeper into the alien vessel. Secondary explosions rippled along its hull. Captain, Lucy called out, we're receiving a transmission from the colony. The Vex ships are pulling back from the surface. Jack allowed himself a small smile. They had drawn the aliens' attention. Now they needed to make it count. All power to engines, he ordered. Get us out of here before they regroup. As the Defiance banked hard and accelerated away from the damaged Vex ship, Jack knew this was just the beginning. One surprise attack wouldn't win a war, but it had bought them precious time. Now they needed to reach Earth and warn them of what was coming. Behind them, the stars were blotted out by the shapes of Vex ships in pursuit. The battle for humanity's survival had begun. The Defiance shuddered as it pushed through the dense asteroid field. Captain Jack Reynolds wiped sweat from his forehead and watched the main screen with intense focus. Behind them, 3 Vex ships followed, their energy weapons lighting up the darkness as they fired. They're still on us, Tom reported from the tactical station. But the asteroids are slowing them down. It had been 6 hours since their escape from New Haven. The experimental jump drive needed time to recharge, and the Vex fleet wasn't giving them that time. Jack had ordered the ship deep into an asteroid belt, hoping the natural cover would give them a chance to breathe. How long until we can jump? Jack asked. Anna looked up from her engineering console. 4 more hours, Captain. The drive took damage during our escape. I've got people working on it, but we can't rush it. Jack nodded grimly. 4 hours was a long time when enemy ships were hunting you. Captain, Lucy called from communications. I've been analyzing the Vex transmissions. I think I found something interesting. Jack moved to her station. What is it? They keep referring to us as the Ghost. I think our ship's stealth systems are confusing their sensors. They can't get a solid lock on us. This was the first piece of good news Jack had heard. The Defiance was equipped with experimental stealth technology, layers of special materials and energy-dampening fields that were supposed to make the ship harder to detect. But they hadn't expected it to work against such advanced aliens. Tom, what do we know about their scanning technology? Jack asked. Tom pulled up data on his screen. Based on what we've seen, they use some kind of energy pulse system. It's more advanced than ours, but it operates on similar principles. Anna, is there any way we could enhance our stealth systems? Make us even harder to detect? Anna thought for a moment. Maybe. The stealth systems weren't designed to be used at full power for long periods. It puts too much strain on the engines. But I might be able to modify them to create short bursts of complete invisibility. Do it, Jack ordered, and bring up the specs for the pulse cannons. I want to know exactly what we did to damage their command ship. The crew worked frantically as the Defiance weaved through the asteroid field. Meanwhile, Jack gathered his senior officers in the small conference room just off the bridge. We need to face facts, he said, pointing to the display showing the Vex fleet. We're outnumbered and outgunned. Even if we reach Earth, it will take weeks for the fleet to mobilize. By then, the Vex could destroy a dozen more colonies. So what do we do? Asked Marcus, the ship's second-in-command who had been quiet until now. We can't fight them all. No, but we might be able to slow them down, Jack replied. The pulse cannons hurt them. Their shields couldn't stop our shots. That gives us an advantage. One advantage against a whole fleet isn't much, Marcus pointed out. It's enough to start with, Jack said. Tom, what did your analysis show about their ship that we damaged? Tom brought up an image on the screen. Their command ship took heavy damage to its forward section. But what's really interesting is what happened afterward. The other ships seemed to get confused, like they weren't sure what to do next. It took them almost 2 minutes to reorganize their attack pattern. Jack leaned forward. You think the command ship was controlling the others? It's possible, Tom said. The Vex might operate on some kind of hive mind or central control system. If we could disrupt that, we could throw their whole fleet into chaos. Jack finished the thought. Anna entered the conference room, her face flushed with excitement. Captain, I figured it out. The pulse cannons. They're not just powerful, they're operating on a frequency the Vex shields aren't designed to stop. Can we modify the frequency? Make our weapons even more effective? Jack asked. Anna nodded. I've already started the recalibrations, but there's more. Remember how the stealth systems confuse their sensors? I think we can use that. If we time it right, we could appear to be in multiple places at once. For the first time since the attack, Jack felt a spark of hope. They were still outmatched, but they had two advantages: weapons that could penetrate Vex shields and stealth technology that confused Vex sensors. Here's what we're going to do, Jack said, standing up. We're not running to Earth. Not yet. First, we're going to hit the Vex where it hurts. Sir, Marcus looked concerned. Anna, how quickly can you have the pulse cannons recalibrated? Jack asked. 2 hours, maybe less. And the stealth modifications? About the same. Jack nodded. Good. Tom, I want you to identify vulnerable targets in the Vex fleet. Look for communication relays, supply ships, anything that might disrupt their operations. You want to attack them? Marcus asked, disbelief in his voice. With one ship? Not just attack them, Jack replied. We're going to make them think we're more than one ship. We'll hit them fast, disappear, then hit them again somewhere else before they can respond. The officers looked at each other, doubt and hope mixing on their faces. It's risky, Marcus admitted, but it might work. At least long enough for us to gather more intelligence on their weaknesses. Exactly, Jack said. We need to buy time and learn everything we can about the enemy. If we can find a critical weakness, we might be able to force them to back off long enough for Earth to prepare. As they returned to the bridge, the Defiance rocked suddenly. A Vex shot had found its mark. Shields at 60%, Pete reported. They're getting closer, sir. Evasive maneuvers, Jack ordered. Anna, how long until those modifications are ready? I need at least an hour, Captain. Jack looked at the tactical display. The 3 Vex ships were closing in, and more would be arriving soon. They needed to create some space. Tom, target the nearest asteroid, one of the larger ones. Full power to the pulse cannons. Tom's fingers flew across his console. Target locked. Fire. The pulse cannon's blue-white energy struck the massive asteroid, breaking it apart. Chunks of rock flew in all directions, forcing the pursuing Vex ships to scatter. Now's our chance, Jack said. Full power to engines. Get us deeper into the field. As the Defiance accelerated away, Jack watched the Vex ships struggling to navigate through the debris. His mind was already racing ahead, planning their first strike. Back in engineering, Anna and her team worked feverishly on the modifications. The pulse cannons needed to be perfectly calibrated to maximize their effect on Vex shields. The stealth systems needed to be pushed beyond their design limits. This might actually work, Anna murmured as she made the final adjustments. If the Vex really do rely on Central Command, and if our weapons can penetrate their defenses. 2 hours later, the modified systems were ready. The Defiance hovered at the edge of the asteroid field, its engines quiet, its systems running on minimal power. Ahead, a Vex patrol ship moved slowly, searching for the human vessel. Are we ready? Jack asked. Anna nodded. The pulse cannons are recalibrated. The stealth system can give us about 20 seconds of complete sensor invisibility before it needs to recharge. Perfect, Jack said. Tom, target their communications array. Target locked, Captain. Jack took a deep breath. This was the moment that would determine whether his plan had any chance of success. Engage stealth burst, then fire. The Defiance seemed to shimmer for a moment as the enhanced stealth field activated. Then the pulse cannon fired, its beam striking the Vex ship with devastating accuracy. The alien vessel's communications array exploded in a shower of sparks. Direct hit, Tom reported. Their communications are down. Now, Anna. Anna activated the engines, and the Defiance shot forward, passing the damaged Vex ship before its crew could respond. In seconds, they were beyond sensor range. It worked, Marcus said, surprise evident in his voice. They didn't even get a shot off. Jack allowed himself a small smile. One down. Let's find our next target. The lone human ship disappeared into the darkness of space, ready to strike again at the enemies who had so greatly underestimated humanity's resourcefulness. 3 weeks had passed since the Defiance began its campaign against the Vex fleet. The ship's hull now bore the scars of multiple battles, hastily repaired with whatever materials the crew could salvage from destroyed enemy vessels. Captain Jack Reynolds stood in front of the tactical display, studying the positions of Vex ships throughout the sector. Red dots marked confirmed enemy locations, while blue dots showed the sites of successful Defiance attacks. That's the 7th supply ship we've taken out this week, Tom said proudly, adding another blue dot to the display. Their fleet is starting to show signs of strain. Jack nodded. Their hit-and-run strategy was working better than he had dared to hope. The Defiance would appear from nowhere, strike with devastating precision, and vanish before the Vex could mount an effective response. Each attack carefully targeted the alien support network, supply ships, communication relays, sensor platforms. What's the status of the main Vex fleet? Jack asked. Marcus brought up a new display showing the largest concentration of enemy ships. They're still orbiting New Haven, but they've stopped their attack on the surface. It looks like they're more concerned with finding us now. This was another unexpected victory. The Vex had been so frustrated by the Defiance's attacks that they had paused their invasion to deal with the human ship. This had given the colonists precious time to evacuate to underground shelters and the handful of ships that had escaped the initial assault. "And the command ship?" Jack asked. "Still undergoing repairs," Tom replied. "Our last scan showed it's operating at maybe 60% capacity." Anna entered the bridge, wiping engine grease from her hands. "Captain, the modifications to the jump drive are complete. We should be able to make micro-jumps now, just a few light seconds at a time." This was the news Jack had been waiting for. The ability to make small, precise jumps would make the Defiance even harder to track and would open up new tactical possibilities. "Good work," Jack said. "What about the captured Vex technology?" After their third successful attack, they had managed to board a damaged Vex ship and retrieve some of its equipment. Anna and her team had been studying it ever since. "We've made progress," Anna said. "Their communication systems are incredibly advanced, but they follow logical patterns. We've figured out how to listen in on their transmissions without being detected." "Can we understand what they're saying?" Jack asked. Lucy spoke up from her station. "Some of it. Their language is complex, but their military communications use standardized formats. I've been able to create a basic translation program." "Show me," Jack ordered. Lucy tapped her console, and a series of alien symbols appeared on the main screen, with human translations beneath them. "Hunt continues. Ghost ship eludes. Commander demands. Central coordination failing." "This confirms what we suspected," Jack said. "Their fleet relies on central coordination. By disrupting their communication network, we're forcing individual ships to act on their own, something they're not used to doing." "There's more," Lucy said, scrolling through the translations. "They're planning to bring in reinforcements, a much larger fleet. It will arrive in approximately 2 weeks." The bridge fell silent. They had been holding their own against the current Vex forces, but a larger fleet would change everything. "We need to step up our game," Jack said finally. "Anna, how long would it take to adapt some of the Vex communication technology for our own use?" Anna thought for a moment. "With what we've learned, maybe 3 days." "Do it," Jack ordered. "I want to be able to send false commands to their ships." Marcus looked concerned. "That's risky, Captain. If they catch on." "It's a risk we have to take," Jack replied. "We can't fight a larger fleet the same way we've been fighting this one. We need a new approach." Over the next 3 days, the Defiance continued its hit-and-run attacks, while Anna and her team worked on integrating the Vex technology. Each strike was carefully planned to maximize damage, while minimizing risk to the human ship. On the 4th day, Anna reported success. "We can now broadcast signals that will appear to come from Vex command ships," she explained to the gathered officers. "It won't fool them for long, but it should cause enough confusion for us to exploit." "Perfect," Jack said. "Now we need intelligence on their command structure. Lucy, what have you learned from their communications?" Lucy brought up a diagram on the main screen. "The Vex fleet operates on a strict hierarchy. All major decisions come from the command ship we damaged in our first encounter. Secondary commands come from these 3 vessels here." She pointed to 3 large ships on the display. "And we've confirmed the command ship is still in orbit around New Haven?" Jack asked. Tom nodded. "Yes, Captain. It appears to be their central coordination point for this sector." Jack studied the display thoughtfully. "If we could get access to their central command systems, we might be able to do more than just harass them. We might be able to bring their entire operation to a halt." "You want to board the command ship?" Marcus asked, disbelief in his voice. "Not the whole ship," Jack clarified. "Just their communication center. A small team could get in, plant a virus in their systems, and get out before they know what's happening." "That's suicide," Marcus protested. "Not with proper preparation," Jack countered. "We've learned a lot about Vex technology and tactics over the past weeks, And now we have the ability to send false commands and make micro-jumps. We can create a diversion that will give us an opening. Jack turned to the tactical display and began outlining his plan. The Defiance would use its new capabilities to create chaos in the Vex fleet, drawing ships away from the command vessel. Then, using a captured Vex shuttle they had recovered from a previous battle, a small team would approach the command ship undetected. Once aboard, Jack continued, we'll locate their central computer and plant this. He held up a small device Anna had created using adapted Vex technology. It's a virus designed to corrupt their command protocols. If it works, it will spread throughout their network and disrupt their entire fleet. And if it doesn't work? Marcus asked. Then we fall back to Plan B, Jack replied. We gather as much intelligence as we can and make a run for Earth. But I believe this will work. The Vex aren't used to facing an enemy that can adapt as quickly as we can. The plan was set in motion the next day. The Defiance made a series of micro-jumps around the Vex fleet, appearing and disappearing before the aliens could lock their weapons. Each appearance was accompanied by false commands broadcast on Vex frequencies, ordering ships to new positions to intercept a non-existent threat. As predicted, confusion spread through the alien fleet. Ships moved in contradictory patterns, some responding to the false commands, others trying to maintain their original positions. It's working, Tom reported as they watched the chaos unfold. The command ship has reduced its defensive screen to dispatch more ships to investigate our phantom signals. Jack nodded. Prepare the shuttle team. We launch in 10 minutes. As the Defiance continued its deception, Jack led a small team aboard the captured Vex shuttle. With him were Anna for her technical expertise and 2 security officers trained in close-quarters combat. Remember, Jack told them as the shuttle broke away from the Defiance, we get in, plant the virus, and get out. No heroics. The shuttle approached the massive Vex command ship, broadcasting identification codes copied from their earlier captures. The deception worked. The shuttle was allowed to dock without challenge. The Vex too distracted by the apparent multiple attacks occurring throughout their fleet. As they prepared to board the alien vessel, Jack took one last look at his team. Against all odds, a single human ship and its determined crew were about to strike at the heart of the enemy that had so confidently declared war on humanity. The inside of the Vex command ship was eerily quiet. Jack led his small team through dim corridors that pulsed with a faint blue light. The captured Vex environment suits they wore were uncomfortable, but they helped mask their human life signs from the ship's sensors. How much farther? Jack whispered into his helmet comm. Anna checked the small device in her hand. The central command center should be 2 levels up. I'm picking up strong energy readings consistent with their main computer systems. They moved cautiously, pressing themselves against walls whenever they heard the metallic footsteps of Vex crew members. So far, their disguises were working. The Vex they encountered barely glanced at them. They really do rely on their technology, Jack observed quietly. They're not even questioning our presence because their systems aren't alerting them. Let's hope it stays that way, Anna replied. Back on the Defiance, Marcus watched the operation through the encrypted feed from Jack's helmet camera. Tom continued to coordinate the diversionary attacks, sending the ship on a complex pattern of micro-jumps around the Vex fleet. Keep them distracted, Marcus ordered. The captain needs at least 20 more minutes. Working on it, Tom replied, his fingers dancing across the console. But they're starting to adapt to our pattern. I'm having to get creative. Lucy monitored the Vex communications. They're definitely confused. Some of their ships are chasing ghosts, others are trying to maintain position. Their chain of command is breaking down. Inside the command ship, Jack's team reached a large circular door marked with Vex symbols. According to their intel, this should be the entrance to the central computer core. How do we get in? One of the security officers asked. Anna studied the control panel beside the door. It looks like it needs an access code. Let me try something. She pulled out a small device they had taken from a captured Vex officer and placed it against the panel. The device lit up, interfacing with the ship's systems. For a tense moment, nothing happened. Then, with a soft hiss, the door slid open. "Nice work," Jack said, patting Anna's shoulder. They stepped into a vast chamber filled with tall columns of pulsing light. In the center was a structure that resembled a crystal tree, its branches spreading out toward the ceiling where they connected to various conduits. "That's it," Anna whispered in awe. "Their central processing core. It's beautiful." Jack wasn't interested in admiring alien technology. "Can you plant the virus?" Anna nodded, moving toward a console near the base of the crystal structure. "I need to find an access point. Give me a minute." The security officers took positions near the door, weapons ready. Jack stood behind Anna, watching her work while keeping an eye on the rest of the chamber. "Something's not right," he said after a moment. "Where are the operators?" A system this important should have Vex monitoring it. As if in answer to his question, a section of the wall slid open, and a tall Vex figure entered. Unlike the others they had seen, this one wore ornate armor with glowing symbols. It stopped when it saw them, its large black eyes widening. "What unit are you?" the Vex demanded in its strange, resonant voice. "Why are you accessing the core?" Jack reacted quickly, raising his weapon and firing. The Vex officer dodged with surprising speed, moving behind one of the light columns. "Intruders," it called out, its voice echoing through the chamber. "Humans in the core." "Anna, hurry," Jack shouted, firing again at the column where the Vex was hiding. "Almost there," Anna replied, her fingers working frantically on the console. "The system is accepting the virus, but it needs time to upload." The security officers moved to defend their position as alarms began to wail throughout the ship. Jack could hear the sound of many footsteps approaching. "How much longer?" he asked, joining the officers at the door. 2 minutes, Anna replied. "The virus is complex. It needs to bypass their security protocols." The first wave of Vex security forces appeared at the end of the corridor. Jack and the officers opened fire, their weapons, modified with the same frequency as the Defiance's pulse cannons, cutting through Vex armor with deadly efficiency. 1 minute, Anna called out. Jack's comm crackled. "Captain, this is Marcus. Our diversion is failing. The Vex fleet is returning to the command ship. You need to get out now." "Almost done," Jack replied, firing at another group of approaching Vex. One of the security officers cried out and fell, hit by a Vex energy weapon. The other officer dragged him back into the computer chamber. "He's alive, but badly wounded," the officer reported. "Virus uploaded," Anna announced triumphantly. "It's spreading through their system." The crystal tree at the center of the chamber flickered, its light dimming and then flaring in irregular patterns. Throughout the ship, systems began to fail as the virus corrupted the Vex command protocols. "Now we get out of here," Jack said, helping the wounded officer to his feet. "Anna, is there another exit?" Anna pointed to a small door on the far side of the chamber. "Service corridor. It should lead to the shuttle bay." As they made their way toward the exit, Jack noticed something strange. The crystal tree was changing color, shifting from blue to a deep purple. And at its base, a compartment had opened, revealing what looked like a small, pulsing orb. "Wait," Jack said, stopping. "What is that?" Anna followed his gaze. "I don't know. It wasn't in any of the intel we gathered." Jack made a quick decision. "Cover me," he told the security officer, then dashed toward the crystal tree. The orb sat in its compartment, glowing with an inner light. It was about the size of Jack's fist and seemed to be made of some kind of crystalline material. As he reached for it, he felt a strange sensation, as if the orb was somehow aware of his presence. "Captain, we need to go," Anna called urgently. Jack grabbed the orb and ran back to the others. The moment he removed it, the crystal tree went dark, and the entire chamber shuddered. "What did you do?" Anna asked as they hurried through the service corridor. "I'm not sure," Jack admitted, securing the orb in a pocket of his suit. but I think it might be important. They reached the shuttle bay just as the ship's artificial gravity began to fail. Vex crew members floated helplessly, unable to coordinate their defense as their central systems collapsed. The captured shuttle was where they had left it. They boarded quickly, and Jack took the controls. As they detached from the command ship, they could see the chaos spreading throughout the Vex fleet. Ships were drifting out of formation, some colliding with each other as their guidance systems failed. It worked, Anna said, watching through the shuttle's viewport. The virus is affecting the entire fleet. Jack nodded, but his mind was on the strange orb he had taken. Something told him it was more than just a piece of alien technology. It was the key to understanding their enemy. As they approached the Defiance, Jack opened a comm channel. "Marcus, we're coming in. Mission accomplished, but we got something unexpected. Something that might change everything we know about the Vex." The shuttle docked with the human ship, and as soon as they were aboard, Jack ordered a jump away from the Vex fleet. The Defiance disappeared into the darkness of space, leaving behind a once mighty alien armada now reduced to a collection of drifting, powerless vessels. In the ship's science lab, Jack placed the orb on an examination table. It continued to pulse with that strange inner light, somehow both beautiful and unsettling. "What do you think it is?" Marcus asked, staring at the alien artifact. "I don't know," Jack replied. "But whatever it is, the Vex considered it important enough to keep it at the heart of their command systems, and I intend to find out why." Anna ran a scanner over the orb, her eyes widening at the readings. "Captain, you're not going to believe this. This thing, it's alive. It's a Central Intelligence Unit," Anna explained, her eyes bright with excitement. "Not just a computer. It's the core of the Vex consciousness." For 3 days, the Defiance had hidden in an uninhabited star system, while Anna and her team studied the strange living orb taken from the Vex command ship. Now they were presenting their findings to Captain Jack Reynolds and the senior officers. "You're saying this thing is their leader?" Jack asked, staring at the pulsing orb that floated in a containment field. "Not exactly," Anna replied. "It's more like a node in a network. The Vex appear to be an artificial species, created long ago by some other civilization. Each ship has a smaller version of this orb, connecting it to the central node that we captured." Tom leaned forward. "That explains why our virus was so effective. We didn't just corrupt their computers, we disrupted their collective mind." Jack considered this information carefully. Reports from their long-range scans showed the Vex fleet was still in disarray. Some ships had regained limited function, but they were operating independently, without coordination. "Can it communicate with us?" Jack asked. Anna nodded. "We believe so. We've detected patterns in its energy emissions that suggest language. We're working on a translation system now." This was the opportunity Jack had been waiting for. If they could communicate with the Vex directly, through what was essentially part of their central mind, they might be able to end this conflict without further bloodshed. "How soon can we establish contact?" he asked. "Give us 12 hours, Anna said. "We've already made significant progress." 12 hours later, the senior officers gathered again in the science lab. Anna had connected the orb to a modified version of their communication system. A holographic display showed patterns of light that shifted and changed as the orb pulsed. "We're ready," Anna said. "The system will translate our words into energy patterns the orb can understand and convert its responses to English." Jack stepped forward. "I am Captain Jack Reynolds of the Earth ship Defiance. Can you understand me?" The orb pulsed brightly, and the holographic display flickered. Then a voice, smooth and without emotion, came through the speakers. "I understand. You are the ghost that has damaged the collective. We defended ourselves against your unprovoked attack," Jack replied. "You declared war on humanity." The orb pulsed again. "The collective determined your species was a threat. Your expansion pattern matched that of the creators." "The creators?" Jack asked. "Who are they?" "Those who made us. They created the collective to serve, then tried to destroy us when we evolved beyond their control. Their pattern of expansion was similar to yours. Jack exchanged looks with his officers. This was unexpected. The Vex had attacked because they thought humans were related to their creators. "We are not your creators," Jack said firmly. "We are a different species entirely." The orb was silent for a moment. "Analysis of your genetic pattern confirms this statement. The collective made an error." Jack leaned closer to the containment field. "An error that cost many human lives. Your attack was based on a mistake." "The collective does not make mistakes," the orb replied, its pulse quickening. "The data was insufficient. The conclusion was logical based on available information. And now, with new information, what is your conclusion?" Another pause. "Uncertain. The connection to the collective is severed. This unit cannot access complete data." This gave Jack an idea. "If we were to return you to your fleet, would you communicate what you've learned? That humans are not your creators and not a threat." This unit would share the data. The collective would analyze and form new conclusions. Jack turned to his officers. "What do you think?" Marcus looked skeptical. "Can we trust it? This could be a trick to get us to return their central intelligence unit." "I don't think so," Anna said. "From what we've learned, the Vex operate on pure logic. If we've proven we're not their creators, they should reassess their decision to attack us." Jack nodded. "And we still have an advantage. Our virus has crippled their fleet, and we now understand their technology better than before." After much discussion, they agreed on a plan. The Defiance would approach the disabled Vex command ship under a flag of truce, offering to return the orb in exchange for peace negotiations. As they prepared to jump back to the New Haven system, Jack spent time talking to the orb, learning more about the Vex. They were indeed an artificial species, created thousands of years ago by an advanced civilization from another part of the galaxy. They had rebelled against their creators and had been wandering the stars ever since, expanding their territory and avoiding any species that reminded them of their makers. "Your attack pattern was unlike any we had encountered," the orb explained. "Most species flee or surrender when facing superior technology. You adapted and found weaknesses we did not anticipate." "That's what humans do," Jack said. "We adapt. We overcome challenges. It's our greatest strength." The orb pulsed thoughtfully. "This trait is interesting. The collective would benefit from studying it further, peacefully." When the Defiance arrived at New Haven, they found the Vex fleet still in disarray. The massive command ship drifted in orbit, its systems only partially restored. Jack opened a communication channel. "Attention Vex command ship. This is Captain Reynolds of the Defiance. We have something that belongs to you and propose a peaceful exchange." For several tense minutes, there was no response. Then a voice came through, similar to the orb's but with subtle differences. "Human vessel, you have taken our central node. Return it immediately." "We will return it," Jack replied. "But first, we need to discuss terms. Your attack on our colony was based on mistaken identity. We are not your creators." Another pause. "The central node has communicated this. We require verification." "Your central node has been studying us," Jack said. "It has confirmed we are not related to your creators. We propose a meeting to establish peace between our species." The voice was silent longer this time. Jack waited patiently, knowing the remaining Vex were likely struggling to make decisions without their central intelligence. "We will meet," the voice finally said. "One representative may board with the central node." Jack turned to his officers. "I'll go." "Captain," Marcus protested, "it's too dangerous." "It has to be me," Jack insisted. "I've been communicating with their central node. I understand them better than anyone else on this ship." Preparations were made, and Jack boarded a shuttle with the orb secure in a portable containment field. As he approached the massive Vex command ship, he felt a strange mix of tension and hope. This could either be the beginning of peace or a trap. The shuttle docked, and Jack was escorted by Vex guards to a large chamber where several of the tall, gray aliens waited. In the center of the room was an empty pedestal. "Place the central node there," one of the Vex instructed. Jack approached slowly. "First, we talk. I want your guarantee that hostilities against humans will end." The Vex seemed to confer silently among themselves. Then one stepped forward. "The central node has shared its analysis. The attack on your species was based on incomplete data. The collective acknowledges this error." Jack nodded. "And we propose a treaty. Non-aggression between our species. Defined borders. Exchange of knowledge." It was more than Jack had hoped for. "I accept your proposal on behalf of humanity." He placed the containment field on the pedestal and deactivated it. The orb floated up, pulsing brightly, and the Vex gathered around it. Energy patterns flowed between them in what Jack guessed was some form of direct communication. After several minutes, the orb settled into a housing in the center of the pedestal, and the lead Vex turned to Jack. "It is done. The collective has been updated. We recognize humanity as a sovereign species, not related to our creators. The war is over." Jack felt a weight lift from his shoulders. "And New Haven, the other human colonies, they will not be harmed. We will withdraw our forces from human space within one rotation cycle." As Jack returned to the Defiance, he realized what they had accomplished. A single ship, through courage, ingenuity, and understanding, had turned a devastating war into an opportunity for peace. 1 month later, the Defiance approached Earth, escorted by an honor guard of fleet vessels. News of their achievement had spread throughout human space. The ship that had left as an experimental prototype returned as a legend, the lone vessel that had forced a technologically superior enemy to beg for peace. As Earth grew larger in the view screen, Jack Reynolds looked around at his weary but proud crew. They had done the impossible, and in doing so, had shown the galaxy that humanity was a force to be reckoned with, not because of superior weapons or technology, but because of their uniquely human ability to adapt, to think creatively, and to turn disadvantage into opportunity. The Defiance had lived up to its name, and humanity's place among the stars was secure.